Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Joni, and today we're going to have some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go. Today's story is about instant karma. Oppie's wife is completely freaking out after she cheated on him and then got diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder that she needs medication for in order to save her life. Now let's get to today's stories to find out what happened. My wife of 19 years told me about her friend setting up on a blind date. She had a girls' night out with her friend, T. Set her up, apparently with a guy that she had slept with a few weeks earlier. T was hooking up with someone else and set my wife up with the past hookup. My wife went out at 7:00 p.m. and came home around 3 in the morning. The confession came completely out of the blue. She said she was sorry and wanted to work on our marriage. There were waterworks and lots of begging for forgiveness. She said that nothing happened between her and the guy because T had slept with him. She knew agreeing to meet the guy was wrong and going to meet him was even worse. I didn't believe that nothing happened like she said. She also said that the guy works at a sawmill and you make more money. That's why it was the better option. Basically, she was confessing to actively trying to replace me. If she had found someone with a better paying job, this post would be much different. Not long after that girls' night out and before the confession, my wife and T had a total meltdown of their friendship. Suddenly, they went from best friends to T's a liar and a manipulative, jealous person, according to my wife. I think the confession, or partial confession, was to keep T from telling me about her sleeping with the guy, gaslighting me by telling me only partially about what really happened, only enough to look bad, but not the whole ugly truth of what happened. Honestly, I didn't need to be told everything that happened. Her story didn't add up. The holes in the story were too big. Little coincidences that occurred around that time put everything in perfect focus. When she told me about it, I lost all feelings for her. I just went numb. Didn't even get angry. I'm done just working on my exit strategy at this point. Getting financials in order, finding a place to move into, etc. It really sucked that she would be willing to throw away 19 years of marriage with no regard for anything, including our 2 children. Update, sorry in advance. This is a long one. A lot has happened since my first post. She is in full-blown panic mode. Recently, she was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder where her white blood cells attack her lungs. This causes asthma attacks that normal medication can't correct. The only drug on the market that controls the condition is a copay of $13,000 after her Medicaid. If I didn't have really good health insurance through my employment, there wouldn't be any possibility of her being able to afford it. She has been trying everything to reconcile. She even set up couples counseling. We made it through 2.5 sessions. This explains why she came clean on partial truth and wanted to fix things. Counseling went the way I figured it would. Every session was all about everything I had done ever, including my working 50 hours each week to make ends meet. Because she has partial disability and didn't work. I'm not saying that I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Everything was brought up, including our 2 children. Well, except I was informed that the mention of her date night was off limits. About halfway through the 3rd session, the counselor looked her in the eye and asked, "If you have such a high power radar to detect what everyone else is doing wrong, point that radar at yourself and tell me what you do wrong." The proverbial shit hit the fan. My soon-to-be ex-wife started yelling at the counselor and wanted to know why she was attacking her when we were there so she could fix me. After a few minutes of back and forth, my soon-to-be ex-wife stormed out crying. The counselor told me that my soon-to-be ex-wife had a deep hatred for me and that she didn't think this marriage could be salvaged. Basically, my response was yep and nope. I informed the counselor that I had her time and we wouldn't be back. She offered me individual counseling. I informed her that I probably would need it in the future and proceeded to tell her about the taboo topic. Needless to say, it didn't surprise her and confirmed my suspicion. Needless to say, the entire trip back to the house was about what a quack the therapist was. I've basically been on autopilot. Whenever I'm at the house, I refer to it as the house because it isn't a home anymore. I moved into the spare bedroom. As far as I'm concerned, I may be married, but I no longer have a wife. If she didn't need good medical insurance coverage, she would still be on the hunt. I don't need to track down T to get the whole story. I live in a small community of less than 900 people. I commute to work in a bigger city daily Monday this week, while at the only grocery store in the community. Guess who ran into my soon-to-be ex-wife? None other than the blind date guy. Small towns, right? It was bound to happen. I was at the end of the aisle when he walked up to her. He was a small guy, maybe 5'9" and 150 pounds. She had her back to me and didn't realize where I was. He asked her out again, right in front of me. She did decline, though. That's when I walked up. I asked him if he was the guy she went out with about 2 months ago. He asked me what it was to me. I backed him up against the shelves and told him that I had been her husband for 19 years. I thought it was going to soil himself. I'm 6'2" and 250 pounds and muscular. She tried to get me to back off. I grounded her to shut up, that she'd just better listen. Immediately she started crying. He told me that he was told she was single and begged for me not to kill him. I asked if they had sex. He swallowed hard and said yes. She cried harder. I told him to never let me see him again. He apologized for everything and basically ran out of the store. Her affair partner outed her by being in the wrong place at exactly the perfect time. If it hadn't been him, I would have eventually ran into T to get the story. Needless to say, most of the time I'm on autopilot. It's as if all emotion is gone. I have to fake happiness while I'm with my children. I don't know if it is an emotional self-defense mechanism to keep things from falling further apart. I know I should be in some kind of distress over this. One day it's going to hit hard. I no longer trust the things I know to be true. Do my children really love me, or do they love the things I give them? Do my parents? Do they only love the fact that I got good grades in school, never got into trouble, always had good paying jobs? The only thing I'm certain of is I can't stay in the sham of a marriage. I get up, go to work, barely eat or sleep. The only people I've told about this are strangers on the internet. I have no one to talk to about this. I go from one day to the next pretending I'm normal. Maybe my soon-to-be ex-wife was right. The therapist does need to fix me. In today's second story, Oppie's wife had an affair with her college professor. Now let's get into today's second story. I married the love of my life a year ago. We've been together for over 10 years and recently decided to start trying for kids. However, after trying a bit, we decided to wait until after the new year. This is what happened to me. We both were off early by chance and arrived home at the same time. Since it was nice and early in the afternoon, we decided to go on a hike before dinner. But before we figured a shower would be nice. She showered first, and when I got out of the shower I found her still naked in the bed. We had passionate and good sex, and didn't even make the run after all. Because of pillow talk, we had dinner, and afterwards we on the couch next to each other, cozy with a blanket. She is a massive fan of some TV shows, which I don't care for, so I sat with a laptop and watched Netflix at the same time. While she was watching TV, she was texting her friends. We were often like that. But after the lovely afternoon, we were sitting extra close to each other. She didn't realize, however, that when my episode finished, I could easily see her mobile screen and see what she was typing. I saw my name in her text, and that she was feeling so guilty that she couldn't remember the first time. But the second time was my fault. I got some grasp of information, but was not entirely sure what was up. But something was wrong. She locked her phone and I closed my laptop at the same time. She froze up like a deer in headlights. I asked her if she wanted to tell me anything. I got up and walked out of the door. Normally she wouldn't like that in an argument, but she didn't even move. A 15 minutes walk and 3 cigarettes later, she still hadn't called or texted me. And because of this, I knew the shit was real. It was so unlike her. I walked back home and she smiled at me as I came in. I turned towards the kitchen, grabbed a bottle of whiskey and another of the red wine bottles she was drinking, and walked back. She held up her wine glass, and I poured a good full glass, and did the same for my whiskey. The faint hope in her eyes disappeared when she realized that I really did know. She told the entire story. The first time was when we hosted a party together at our place, and I had to go to a family emergency and stay overnight. There was a new random friend that stayed late even after everyone left. She was hammered and said she couldn't remember much except that it happened. The second time was the Tuesday night. Thereafter, she said she was confused about what happened and wanted to meet him at his place. She lied to me, saying she was going to meet another girlfriend that night and went off. And then it kind of happened again, and the fault was hers because it was her decision to go there, which I didn't really get. After that, she broke it off, and she was feeling terribly guilty. She didn't want me to leave and was terribly sorry, etc. The talk continued after that. But that is the gist. We spent the night apart, and I asked her to find another place for the night. While I thought this morning as I'm writing this, oh, man, for all the people still reading all of this, I'm sorry for the wall of text. I think this is just some therapeutic writing for me. Do with it what you want. I just had to get it off my chest. I'm going to take my time thinking on what to do and see it from there.